Hey YNR fans! Waving hand, welcome to YNR Trends, your go-to spot for the juiciest Young and the Restless updates, shocking spoilers, and all the drama you can't stop talking about. From surprise returns to scandalous twists, we break it all down for you, every day. So grab your coffee, hit that subscribe button, and let's dive right into Genoa City's hottest gossip. The day in Genoa City begins with an air of unease, a tension that has been building for weeks and finally threatens to erupt. The Abbott mansion is unusually quiet, but beneath that silence lies a storm of emotions. Kyle finds himself pacing the living room, unable to settle his nerves. He knows that his choices, particularly his entanglement with Audra and the secrets they've tried to bury, are on the verge of being exposed. The sound of his footsteps echoing through the grand space mirrors the anxiety inside his chest. He thinks about Harrison, about the kind of father he wants to be, and he wonders if his mistakes will cost him the most precious thing in his life. Summer has been distant, refusing to forgive him, and though he's tried to explain, she has made it clear that his actions have consequences. He pours himself a drink even though it's not even noon, staring at the glass as if the answers might appear in its reflection. Across town, Mariah sits in a cramped conference room at the police station, her hands folded tightly on the table in front of her. The reality of her situation weighs heavily, and though she puts on a brave face, the fear lingers just beneath the surface. Noah's decision to testify against her has left her stunned. Her brother's betrayal feels like a knife to the heart, one she never expected. She replays his words over and over in her head, each repetition making her stomach twist. She knows she made mistakes, she knows her desperation to protect her family led her down dark paths, but she never imagined Noah would be the one to deliver the final blow. Tessa's absence only makes it worse. Her partner is away on tour, and though she offers comfort through phone calls, it doesn't compare to the strength of her presence. Alone in that sterile room, Mariah feels like the walls are closing in. Meanwhile, Victor Newman sits in his office at Newman Enterprises, a half-smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. He knows more than he's letting on, as always. His empire may be his pride, but his family is his weapon, and today he plans to wield both. The information he has gathered on Kane is enough to keep the man in check, but Victor doesn't intend to use it just yet. He thrives on timing, on letting his enemies believe they've gained ground before pulling the rug out from under them. He leans back in his chair, steepling his fingers, considering the moves ahead like a grandmaster at a chessboard. Kane has been reckless, thinking he can weave himself into the Newman and Abbott conflicts without consequence. Victor's patience is thinning, and when that happens, it rarely ends well for anyone in his path. At Crimson Lights, Sharon sets a tray of fresh coffee on the counter and tries to focus on the simple routine of her morning, but her mind keeps drifting to Nick. Their near kiss still lingers between them, a spark that reignited feelings she thought were long buried. She brushes her hair behind her ear and glances out the window, half hoping to see him walk in, half fearing what would happen if he did. Faith has been encouraging her to consider giving Nick another chance, reminding her of the years of history they share, but Sharon knows better than anyone how easily things can fall apart. She tells herself she needs stability, not chaos, but her heart doesn't always listen to logic. When the door chimes and Nick actually steps inside, her breath catches in her throat, and the world seems to pause for just a moment. On the other side of town, Lily sits in Chancellor Winter's boardroom, tapping her pen against a stack of papers she hasn't been able to focus on. Business strategies and quarterly reports mean little when her personal life is such a mess. Kane has been hovering like a storm cloud, his presence impossible to ignore, and though she tells herself she's moved on, his shadow lingers in every corner of her life. Damien's return has only complicated matters further, and Lily feels torn between what she wants and what she knows she should want. Billy has been supportive, a steady presence, but the ghosts of her past refuse to stay buried. She wonders if she'll ever truly be free of the tangled web Kane has spun around her. As the day unfolds, alliances begin to crack. At Society, Audra sips her martini with calculated grace, her eyes scanning the room as if she's waiting for someone. She's dressed to kill, her confidence unshaken, but underneath that polished exterior lies the constant fear that her secrets are seconds away from exposure. Kyle eventually joins her, sliding into the booth with a look of exhaustion. Their conversation is sharp, tense, and filled with thinly veiled accusations. Audra insists she has things under control, but Kyle is losing faith in her assurances. He warns her that if the truth comes out, neither of them will walk away unscathed. Audra leans closer, her voice low and dangerous, telling him that if he dares to betray her, she'll take him down with her. The tension between them is electric, and though neither wants to admit it, the line between desire and destruction has never been thinner. The courtroom is packed when Noah finally takes the stand, his voice steady but his eyes betraying the conflict inside. He looks at Mariah, who refuses to break eye contact, silently pleading for him to change his mind. But Noah presses on, revealing details about her actions that leave the room in stunned silence. The weight of his testimony lands like a hammer, and though Mariah tries to remain stoic, tears well in her eyes. She feels exposed, betrayed, and utterly alone. The judge listens carefully, scribbling notes, and Mariah knows this is the beginning of the end. Her fate now rests in hands she cannot control, and the thought terrifies her. At Newman Enterprises, Victor receives a call that makes him pause mid-sentence. The voice on the other end delivers news he wasn't expecting. Damien is not only alive but making moves that could threaten Victor's carefully constructed plans. For a moment, the unshakable Victor Newman actually feels surprise. He quickly regains his composure, though, and his mind shifts into overdrive. If Damien has returned, then the game has changed, and Victor thrives on adapting. He leans back in his chair, a gleam in his eyes, already plotting how to turn this revelation into an advantage. For Kane, this development could spell disaster, as Victor now has more leverage than ever before. By the time evening falls, the city feels heavier, as though everyone senses the shift in the air. At the Abbott house, Jack confronts Kyle about his behavior, his disappointment clear. Jack reminds his son that family comes first, that every decision Kyle makes reflects not only on himself but on the Abbotts as a whole. Kyle bristles at the lecture, insisting he's doing his best, but deep down he knows his father is right. The weight of expectation is suffocating, and Kyle feels trapped between who he wants to be and who he's expected to be. Jack's words echo in his mind long after their argument ends, leaving him restless and uncertain. In Chancellor Park, Sharon and Nick walk together under the dim glow of the lampposts. Their conversation is quiet, filled with pauses and half-smiles, the kind of exchange that says more in silence than in words. Nick admits he's made mistakes, that he's let her down more times than he can count, but he still believes they're meant to find their way back to each other. Sharon listens, her heart softening despite herself, and for a fleeting moment she allows herself to imagine what it would be like to give him another chance. The possibility terrifies her, but it also excites her, and she knows she has a decision to make sooner rather than later. The broadcast of The Young and the Restless on Thursday, September 11th, 2025, falls on a date that is inherently loaded with a profound and somber weight in the American consciousness. The juxtaposition of a long-running soap opera, a genre built upon the amplified, personal dramas of everyday life, airing on the anniversary of a national tragedy creates an unspoken, complex dialogue between the program and its audience. This particular episode does not directly reference the historical event, its narratives are ensconced within the fictional world of Genoa City. Yet, the themes explored on this day, grief, betrayal, the fragility of security, the quest for truth, and the intricate rebuilding of lives after unforeseen catastrophe, resonate with a deeper, more collective memory. The episode functions not as an allegory for 9/11, but as a vessel through which viewers process enduring human emotions, emotions that are acutely familiar on such a date of remembrance. The storytelling on this day is inherently more poignant, the character struggles more visceral, as the ghosts of a real-world past linger just beneath the surface of the fictional present. The central narrative axis of this episode revolves around the escalating tension between the Newman and Abbott families, a feud that has defined Genoa City for decades but has recently entered a new and more vicious phase. The catalyst for this current firestorm is the revelation of a long-buried secret, one that threatens to dismantle not just corporate alliances but the very foundations of personal identity and family loyalty. Jack Abbott, perpetually grappling with his father's legacy and his own place within it, finds himself in possession of information that could irrevocably damage Victor Newman. This is not merely business, it is profoundly personal. The spoilers for this episode suggest Jack is moving beyond mere corporate espionage or hostile takeovers. He is targeting Victor's sense of self, his history, and the narrative Victor has constructed around his own life. The dialogue is expected to be laced with a rare venom, each word chosen not just to win a boardroom battle but to wound on a deeply human level. Jack's motivation is a complex stew of righteous indignation, years of perceived slights, and a desperate need to finally emerge from the long shadow Victor has cast over his life. Victor, conversely, is in a position of reactive defense, a posture he finds inherently distasteful. The master of the universe is being masterfully manipulated, and his responses are predictably volatile. The episode likely showcases Victor's trademark fury, but it is perhaps tinged with something rarer, a flicker of vulnerability. The secret Jack wields strikes at something Victor holds dear, perhaps related to his children, his first wife, or the very origins of his empire. His strategy will not be one of quiet negotiation but of overwhelming force. He will seek to identify Jack's source, discredit his information, and launch a counterattack so devastating that it will force Jack to retreat permanently. This dance of aggression and retaliation between these two titans is the engine of the episode, their conflict a high-stakes game of chess where every move has catastrophic consequences for those around them. The corporate setting of Newman Enterprises and Jabot Cosmetics provides the stage, but the true battle is for legacy, pride, and a twisted form of respect that only lifelong rivals can share. Interwoven with this primary power struggle are the intimate, personal dramas of the younger generation, whose lives are often the collateral damage in the wars waged by their parents. Victoria Newman, now firmly entrenched as her father's heir and protégé, is caught in the crossfire. Her allegiance is to Newman Enterprises, but her relationship with her father is a constant negotiation between filial duty and her own formidable ambition. In this episode, she likely serves as both Victor's strategist and his conscience, attempting to temper his wrath with pragmatism. However, Victoria has inherited much of Victor's ruthlessness, and her advice may lean toward a more calculated, though equally brutal, form of retaliation. Across the divide, Kyle Abbott is similarly entangled. Having oscillated between the Abbott and Newman camps throughout his life, his position is inherently conflicted. His love for his father, Jack, is undeniable, but so is his complicated history with Victor and his own desire to carve a path independent of their feud. The episode likely explores Kyle's internal struggle as he is forced to choose a side, a decision that could alienate him from one of the two men who have shaped his life. The theme of fractured families extends beyond the central feud. The episode continues to explore the aftermath of a recent, devastating revelation within the Chancellor Winters family. The stability of this conglomerate, a beacon of successful Black ownership and resilience in Genoa City, has been shaken to its core. Devin Hamilton, the moral center of the family and the custodian of its legacy, is reeling from a betrayal of trust that strikes at the heart of both his business and his home. His conflict with Lily Winters, once his most trusted partner and confidant, has reached a critical juncture. Their arguments are no longer about business strategy or profit margins, they are about fundamental breaches of trust, respect, and shared history. The dialogue between them is expected to be raw and emotional, stripped of corporate jargon and filled with the pain of personal hurt. Devin's principled stance may come across as rigid, while Lily's pragmatic, perhaps desperate, actions are portrayed as misguided but understandable. This storyline serves as a powerful counterpoint to the Newman-Abbott War. Where that conflict is often cold and calculated, the Chancellor Winters drama is hot and immediate, a visceral display of how business decisions can rupture the closest of familial bonds. Meanwhile, the personal life of Nate Hastings is under a microscope. His relationship with Audra Charles, a pairing built on ambition and a mutual understanding of the game, is being tested by external pressures and internal doubts. Audra, a master manipulator in her own right, is likely playing a multi-layered game, her allegiances shifting like sand. Nate, who has struggled with his own morality in his quest for power, must decipher whether her affections are genuine or merely another strategic move in the corporate landscape. Their scenes are charged with a combination of passion and paranoia, a dance of two people who are deeply attracted to each other but cannot fully let their guards down. The spoilers suggest a moment of truth for them, a confrontation where hidden agendas are forced into the open, potentially altering the power dynamics within the corporate world and their relationship irrevocably. In a different corner of Genoa City, the romantic entanglements of Daniel Romalotti and Heather Stevens provide a slightly lighter, though no less complicated, narrative thread. Their story is one of second chances and the challenges of blending modern life with co-parenting and past histories. The episode likely features scenes of them navigating the mundane yet deeply important aspects of building a life together, establishing boundaries with ex-partners, managing the expectations of their daughter Lucy, and learning to trust each other completely despite the baggage they both carry. Their conflict is not one of global corporate domination or earth-shattering betrayal, but of miscommunication, jealousy, and the quiet anxieties that accompany new love. This storyline offers the audience a respite from the high-intensity drama of the other plots, grounding the show in relatable emotions and the universal desire for connection and a stable home. Furthermore, the ongoing mystery involving Claire Grace continues to unfold, adding a layer of suspense and gothic tension to the episode. Her integration into the Newman family, particularly her growing bond with Victoria and Nick, is fraught with unease. The audience is aware of her mysterious past and her connection to the enigmatic Jordan, creating a sense of dramatic irony every time she shares a tender moment with a Newman. Victor's inherent suspicion of everyone, especially those who get too close to his inner circle, is sure to be on full display. He likely orders a new, more invasive investigation into her background, unable to shake the feeling that her presence is a threat. Claire, for her part, is portrayed with a mixture of genuine gratitude and subtle cunning, leaving viewers to question her true motives. Is she a victim seeking a loving family, or a wolf in sheep's clothing waiting to strike? This slow-burn storyline taps into the classic soap opera tropes of hidden identities and long-buried secrets, keeping the audience in a state of delicious suspense. The production and narrative craftsmanship of this episode are tailored to maximize the emotional impact of these intertwined stories. The direction likely employs a series of close-ups during the intense confrontations between Jack and Victor, and between Devon and Lily, trapping the audience in the emotional reality of the characters. The framing of these shots emphasizes the isolation and intensity of their anger and pain. In contrast, the scenes with Daniel and Heather might use warmer lighting and more open compositions, visually reinforcing the theme of domestic comfort they are trying to achieve. The editing rhythm is crucial, cutting between the various storylines to create a sense of simultaneity and escalating tension. A quiet, emotional moment between Kyle and his son Harrison might be immediately followed by a shot of Victor slamming his fist on his desk, juxtaposing the innocent world of childhood with the corrosive world of adult conflict. The writing on this particular date, though not explicitly about the anniversary, carries a subconscious weight. The characters are all, in their own ways, dealing with the aftermath of explosions, both emotional and psychological. They are searching for truth in a world where facts are often obscured by personal agendas. They are trying to rebuild trust after it has been shattered. They are grappling with the concept of security, realizing that their gated mansions and corporate empires cannot protect them from heartbreak, betrayal, or the ghosts of the past. These are universal themes, but on September 11th, they echo with a specific, collective resonance. The audience, perhaps feeling a sense of reflective melancholy on this date, may find a cathartic release in the heightened emotions of Genoa City. The show provides a space to explore feelings of loss and resilience through the safety of fiction. In conclusion, the September 11th, 2025 episode of The Young and the Restless is a meticulously crafted piece of serialized storytelling that operates on multiple levels. On its surface, it is a compelling continuation of long-running narratives featuring beloved and despised characters in moments of high drama and intimate reflection. It delivers the expected twists, confrontations, and romantic tensions that define the soap opera genre. On a deeper, perhaps unintended level, the themes it explores, conflict, memory, tragedy, and rebuilding, silently converse with the date on which it is broadcast. The episode does not need to mention the real-world events of September 11th to be influenced by them. The cultural memory of that day provides a subtextual backdrop that amplifies the emotional stakes of the fictional narratives. The characters of Genoa City, in their perpetual struggle to navigate a world shaped by the actions and secrets of the past, become avatars for a very human need to make sense of chaos, to seek justice, to find love, and to persevere. In doing so, on this most significant of dates, the show fulfills its core function, to reflect our own complexities back at us, offering not escape, but a distorted mirror in which we can see our own struggles with grief, resilience, and the enduring hope for a new day.